Grand Rising. This is the Straight Talk Morning Show on the Straight Talk Network. My name is Andre Hill, your host, and Grand Rising, and welcome to the show. We have our chairman of the United Aboriginal American Republic, Terrence Lake. How you doing in Detroit this morning, sir?
Grand Rising, I'm doing fine, thank you. A beautiful day, beautiful day. It's almost like a summer morning, you know. Just looking forward to some things that's happening this evening, but definitely looking forward to this show.
All right. Also, we have our co-host, Juris Doctor for our Aboriginal Nation. So you young inspiring attorneys that don't want to go to law school, you can get hooked up with Andre Hill Jr. and he will teach you Aboriginal law. How you doing this morning, man?
I'm all right. And, to clarify that, what we'll do is get into civics in general, which is afforded to everybody. Everybody should learn civics. If you're going to be subscribing to a government and a jurisdiction, you got to understand the makeup and functions of it, and be a part of it, right? Because as we see with our American government, if you don't get involved and become aware of what's going on, they're basically gonna steal your lunch money in the middle of the night. Right?
Yeah, boy.
So again, civics is designed to be body of information or curriculum that expresses that the government is the people. You the government. You're the one that uphold and facilitate.
So they say.
So they say, right? And that's how, at least that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Right. And but like Pop said, over here in UAAR, United Aboriginal American Republic, we say we understand that we can self-govern righteously, autonomously. Yeah. All right, I'll land that right there. Go ahead, there. My bad.
No problem. We definitely need to get your generation to engage, because us old timers, we're doing this so your generation can survive. So whatever dialogue you need to share to wake them up to understand that we got this, hey man, do your thing. All right, so as I always do, I post on Facebook every Friday evening or afternoon. Good evening, family. Tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're having problems watching the show on Facebook, they like to play games, and certain people can't watch in different regions. You can go to our YouTube page, and the link is in our Facebook announcement. It's HTT. It's a lot of stuff. So just click the little blue link, and it'll take you to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So, as I wrote, there is a Pan-African movement developing to acquire reparations in the Americas. See how joining UAARnation.org will benefit us and our children. Also, Andre Hill Jr. will discuss the stage show between Trump and Elon Musk. I knew there was some BS going on. There's always some shenanigans going on behind the scenes.
Right.
Also, honing in on the frequency that will protect Aboriginals and destroy all opposition. Lightning bolts will be flying. Tune in and be enlightened for further instructions on the movement. Order lucifersrevenge.net. Every team needs a playbook. You got to know your position, and you got to know what your position is required to do in order to go to the Super Bowl. So get you a copy of Lucifer's Revenge. We have the whole playbook in there. And I know some people might say, if you put the playbook online out there for where everybody can buy it, won't the enemy know what to do? Well, I remember a story about Jim Brown, and he was in the backfield. He said, "Give me the ball."
Yes.
Tell them they know you coming up the middle. That's all right. Give me the ball. So
right.
they can't stop this. This is better than a Jim Brown. This is 1,000 times greater. So we're coming right across the line. We're going into the end zone, and we're doing it for our children. You know, if you think, especially our generation at this age, that you're gonna leave something on the table, no, you gotta take it all off and go ahead and drive it in. So we're gonna open up with the Pan Africa movement development. Now, I ran across this video, and Junior is going to play it in just a second. And I've been thinking about this video all week, what this brother is saying. And I take into consideration, the whole spectrum of melanated people all over the planet, and the fact that we have all been colonized all over the planet. Why did this happen? And we have explained this over and over again. We've used the scenario, when a teenager reaches a certain age, they become rebellious. They don't want to play along with the parents' rules. And so parents have to take drastic action and don't spare the rod to help that child, that young adult, understand when you make bad decisions, there's going to be pain. And if you do this early on, it'll program that mind, to help that child think twice about making bad decisions. So we have to look at this once again, the guardians of the universe, the supreme being, if you want to say God. I think God, the word God, is a human male construct, but the supreme being maintains order throughout the universe. And when a civilization reaches this point, sometimes it needs some tough love to help it evolve to a higher frequency. So if you land back and say, I done all I can, I got mine, they need to get theirs, and you look around and you watch the news and see the predicament that this planet is in, and you think you're going to rest on your morals, just say, I'm going to just go off and you got another thought coming. If you cannot leave anything on the table, and whatever energy, whatever resources you have left, if you don't contribute some time or resources to evicting this entity that was brought here by the Most High to test you, to force you to appreciate the three basic laws of the universe. All men are created equal. Treat people the way you want to be treated, and love your fellow humans unconditionally. So if you're gonna ignore that and just say, well, I've done all I can, woe unto your soul, because that is the exit of a coward, to give up and say, I've done all I can do. So the Pan-African movement, it clearly, what this brother is saying, and it's not a racist statement. What they're saying is, as a collective, the original children of the Most High must work as a collective to change the narrative on this planet. Right now, if you look at a pair of scales, you always notice that one on the scale, one of the pans are up higher than the other. The one that's up higher than the other is positive energy. That's the natural balance of the universe. The one that is lower is negative energy, but they still are required in order for the scale to participate or have balance. But when the negative energy is shifted and the negative energy is right in the narrative, it throws the whole system out of balance. So what we're doing here, and what we must all focus on, is bringing it back in balance, where righteousness is slightly above the negative energy, because negative energy is required. It's very important. In order for you to exist on the physical plane, you must have both positive and negative energy. But once again, negative energy should not be right in the narrative. negative energy has its purpose. It's a grounder, and my son is an electrician. He knows how, how it grounds to keep positive energy just from going all over the place. I'm not negating that the purpose of negative energy, but it should not be right in the narrative, and just as it's being demonstrated, when it writes the narrative, then you have chaos and confusion. And that's what we got going on the planet right now, death and destruction. Once again, every show, I'm going to mention what is going on. And I could be selfish and say, well, it ain't our people, I ain't going to worry about it. But no, if you would do that to the children of its own phenotype, think what it's going to do when it accomplishes its mission and we don't check it. Guess what it's going to do to our children? Same thing. The demolish, destroy, all of those things that that negative energy. I mean, it's just hard to starve babies, because you want to push an agenda that you are a superior religion and you want a real estate deal. Not a bad. This is not good. So. Once again, this video, it's a short video, but you have to pay attention to the objective and the agenda. And that is clearly that it's calling on all melanated people over the planet that if you've been affected here, it's going to eventually affect you there, because the enemy is intent on destroying you, the original human. Why? Because a demonic force came to this planet and said, I want to change the narrative. I want to create a human a phenotype that will worship me as a god. That's what we have. That's in simplicity, in simple terms. That's what we have going on here. This low frequency entity came here for revenge, and the Supreme Being allowed it to come here. Because think about this now, the Supreme Being made this entity. So it's going to defeat it. Don't sign up for a team that is doomed. So and don't sit back and say, I'm going to give power to this team when it is a doomed agenda. So once again, all the melanated people on this planet, I applaud the ones in America that are outraged that they're trying to kill this young brother over in Burkina Faso, Ibrahim. They want to snuff him out. They're trying to snuff out our agenda here with our Aboriginal, us reestablishing our nationality. They want to snuff it out because if this phenocode cannot maintain dominance, they are afraid of retribution and the fact that they will be genetically eliminated because they're no longer needed. And so I'm gonna appeal to the souls in those bodies, in that phenotype, that let it go and start working on the next life where you won't end up in that phenotype and you can get you a beautiful melanated body so you don't have to be jealous. And I'm strongly encouraging that. And also to other melanated people who are just fearful of what these demons are capable of doing. They can't do it unless we participate. So you need to put your big boy or big girl panties on and recognize the supreme being that made you also made these demons, and it can shut them down anytime it wants to. But what the supreme being is asking us, just demonstrate those three principles and I will intervene and destroy these demons. All humans are created equal. Treat people the way you want to be treated and love your fellow humans unconditionally. Hey man, let's load up that video, and then we're gonna open up the panel and have a discussion about that.
The reparation struggle. So you find African Americans are fighting for reparations on their own. Africans in Europe are fighting for reparations on their own. Africans in South America are fighting for reparations on their own. And Africans in the continent are fighting for it on their own. And we are facing the same white supremacy. Why don't we unite as a global African race and fight for reparations from a united front? Therefore, if one of us gets shortchanged, we have each other's backs. If African Americans are getting shortchanged by white people in America, we have their backs. We as Africa, we say, hey, if you guys are not giving African Americans exactly what they want, no gold for you, no cocoa for you, no Coal Town for you. That's the brotherly love that I need us to have as a global African race. We are stronger together. We are more, and we will get far together if we fight for reparations from a Pan-African standpoint. We need to be united in this. That's how the reparation struggle can be very powerful, and that's how we will intensify the struggle, and that's how we will get exactly what we are owed. We are not.
Wow, that's a beautiful brother, man. And his message is beautiful. Chairman, what do you think about that message?
Well, he's speaking the truth that we need to come together because we are stronger unified. I mean, reparations should have been paid a long time ago. If the United States can pay the Japanese and other nationalities reparations and give them land, why not the blacks? You know, we deserve it. Look what we put into this country, blood, sweat, and tears. You know, we're not out to take anything from anybody. We just want a decent deal. We want things to be fair. And I know about fairness because I've been exploited so many times, it's unbelievable. But I continue to fight the fight, you know, and I know a lot of my brothers and sisters are doing the same thing. And I'm not saying it's against all whites, but there's so many of them that hold us back, exploit us, falsify our tests. You know, it's happened to me. I got proof, you know, and we cannot progress if we're divided and conquered in that respect. We've got to come together. You know, we got to have each other's back until things get right. And when things are right, then we won't have to worry about it. It'll be a heaven on earth for everybody, every nation, every creed, every color. It was meant to be, but we got to play a part in making this happen because some of them ain't gonna make it happen. If we don't come together and do it, it ain't gonna get done. And like you say about some people say, well, I got mine, you get yours. No, you got it, but you know, you let the wrong one get in control and you ain't gonna have what you got because it could be taken from you. And then how will you feel? You know, who you gonna cry to then? You know, so it's all about coming together, making things right. And then we can do all these glorious, great things that we were created to do. And there's more than enough for all of us. You know, we live on this little small planet, and Earth is a small planet. People need to open their minds up and recognize that there's so much more we can do, but we got to unify. We got to come together. And I'll land that plane.
Well said, Chairman. Hey, we got to let the young generation respond. Hey, man, let me ask you something. Shouldn't this resonate with your generation? You guys should be jumping on this and going like, hallelujah, let's make this happen. What do you think about that statement?
I agree with the brother. And interestingly, I just made a post about this on Facebook recently. And I'll read it. It's not too long. I'll read it real quick. And it's relating to Aboriginal Americans, melanated Aboriginal Americans, and what I'm starting to see, which is divisive techniques and divisive perspectives coming from melanated Aboriginal Americans and discovering our identity as Aboriginal Americans versus being quote unquote African, right? So this is what my post reads. It says, yes, I proudly claim my identity as Aboriginal American. That's my ancestral soil, my cultural walk, in my tribal blood, but let's be clear. I have zero interest in disassociating from my African brothers and sisters. There's no divide and conquer mindset over here. If you're African and you want to link and build, just know we've got tools in one hand and we've got ancestral prayers in the other. Let's build pyramids and or duplexes, preferably dome shaped. We with it either way. We don't have to be the same to be in alignment. Unity does not require uniformity, just mutual respect, shared values, and real vision. So yes, I'm Aboriginal, but I'm also Pan-African in practice, indigenous in spirit, and uncolonized in mindset. That's how I feel about it personally. Now, my generation, again, finding out, discovering that we are, or let's say rediscovering that we are Aboriginal to this landmass, which in the grand scheme of things doesn't matter. We're actually Aboriginal to the planet, right? We're Aboriginal to the planet. So, but what I'm starting to see online is, and it may be a temporary, necessary trial of attrition. But what I'm starting to see is a lot of, let's say, Black Americans claiming, hey, no, I'm Native, ain't never been African, ain't got nothing to do with African, don't want to be associated with Africa. And I'm looking at them like, well, that's unwise, to say the least. That's unwise. So, in general, my generation, especially here in the Americas, are coming upon new information and going through an identity discovery, which is fine, which is necessary. But I'll say this, to these, to my constituents. I was raised in the conscious community, and I, mess around with dad, right? I was raised in all the conscious circles and had been privy to this type of information, specifically identity politics, since I was a child. And this is what I got to say to everyone. That is only step in stage one. Figuring out who you are is infantile. You figure out who you are, somebody gives you a name and identity as a child. What comes after that is your responsibility to self-sustain, which in this case, on a societal level, that means we need to start building at this point. We know who we are now. We've got all of the evidence around the world of how long we've been on this planet and what we've been doing all this time. We already know what time it is on who we are. And tribalism is just as old as any other thing here. But right now, in this era, it is unwise to disassociate from an entirety of a nation or a continent based on geographical location, when those people, specifically talking about our African brothers and sisters, are the only other people on the planet that resemble us the most. It's like, okay, you're not African, so who are you gonna link with? Some Russians? Who are you gonna link with? Some Chinese first? When it's nothing against Russia, nothing against China. We you told it the way we think. Yeah, we are gonna link with them, but I mean, it's gonna be a specified agreement as how we go about that. But when it comes to our African brothers and sisters, it is completely unwise to disassociate with that entire continent based on some identity politics. And listen, I understand, the let's say the personal experiences we may have with, person to person, but the truth is this: the entirety of Africa is waiting on our collaboration, not individually, collectively. No, you can't go to Africa and then just sign up under their jurisdiction and just go be a citizen of one of their countries and expect to get some royal treatment. No, you don't even get that here. It's like you've got to pull your britches up as a grown person and be prepared to contribute to their society the same way you contribute to this one. You get up and go to work for this one every day. Every day you get up and go to work to clock in to receive USD, because that's the only reason you're going to work. To clock in, to trade your time for USD. That's what it is. That's what it is. So if you're doing that every day, you are building and sustaining the infrastructure and the economy of America. Why won't you consider doing that with your African cousins, especially given the mutual and shared plight that we've had with colonization all this time? With the cultural, exact identity. We claiming, Africans, they different. Like how different? How much different are they from us? How much different? I mean, are they as different as colonization? Is their culture that much different? Long story short, and I'll land it here. Can you not see past them little petty differences? I mean, you probably experienced worse, different differentiations and betrayals in your own family here on this soil than you have with some Africans that you may not have met yet. If you can have a problem with somebody across the street. I mean, are you gonna disassociate from the entire neighborhood because you got a problem with one of your neighbors? So, long story short, this is not the time. It's absolutely not the time to launch any movement or narrative or paradigm that we need to disassociate from Africans as Black Aboriginal Americans. What it is a time for is just what the brother said on the video. Africa pretty much has most of the resources that a lot of other nations depend on for survival. Don't you want to be in collaboration with a collective like that, so we can begin to control our own narrative again? Yeah, you do. Whether you want to admit it or not, I know you do. So I'm gonna speak for my generation, on that note. Yes, you do. You do want to be in collaboration with that. Yes, you do. Because if you ain't, that means you just ain't thought it all the way through yet. But I have for you. Yes, you do. I'll land that right there.
Very well spoken.
So this is the reason I get up and arm myself with my sword and my shield to go into battle, because there is hope for the generations behind us. And to you older generations, if you're going to give up on your children because you're tired and you got yours, they need to get theirs, war into your soul. But this is the reason I keep getting up and I keep fighting. I hope this resonates through all of us. I want to say one thing to this topic before we go and segue into the next one. This evil was created to be evicted through our collective union. So by saying, okay, we're gonna let souls, you Satan worshiping souls, we're gonna let's leave y'all alone and separate. No, that is not Lucifer's satanic agenda. That is not their agenda. They want to replace, they cannot exist with one group being the original humans of the Most High, and another group were created by Lucifer's scientists. So what we want to do, and what me personally, I would like to see those souls that are trapped in those recessive gene bodies that have had to perpetuate this evil. I would like to see them resurrected and get the opportunity for us all to have these beautiful melanated bodies, but it's not going to, you have to understand Lucifer's agenda was not to develop harmony, but to get revenge and destroyed the original creation of the Most High. The Most High knew what it was doing when it created us. It created us in sync with nature. So let's help those souls. You know, and let's contribute to the evolution of those souls. And there is a program that they can start working off that bad karma or that generational curse, so they can return to the Most High and start going towards the light. You know, but if we sit back passively and in ignorance and fear, it ain't gonna help them, and it definitely ain't gonna help your children, because they have demonstrated what they are capable of doing. I mean, just blowing these babies up, starving them. Look at the news, watch what they're doing over in Gaza. That's evil. You know, that is pure evil. So you think they ain't coming for you next? You think, well, that's them, I ain't going. No, they got to do the whole planet like this in its entirety. All right. Let's go ahead on to the next topic. So this particular, our engineer, he's going to be talking most of the show. So the next topic, Andre Jr. will discuss the stage show between Trump and Elon. Go ahead and break it down to us, man.
So I'm gonna be honest. I haven't. It's not like I don't. You know, I don't really be on Twitter. You know, every now and then I try to log into it, but there's always some kind of, you know, like login hoops I got to jump through. And maybe I'm getting old. Whatever. I don't really fool with it too much. But I have seen some snippets here and there of the online Twitter beef. I ain't old enough. I ain't too old to know the term Twitter beef. And I ain't saying, you know, you pops and chairman, y'all too old. But Twitter beef is two people texting back and forth on Twitter. Or in other words, posting stuff on Twitter in verbal direction of each other without directly saying stuff right to each other's face. So look what it looks like. And I could be, you know, hey, if anybody's been following it, you know, intricately, you know, correct me in the chat, whatever. But look, long story short, Elon has you know, post some things on Twitter saying he wants to, you know, expose Trump for his connection to the Epstein thing and all of that. And as long, in other words, he's essentially bowing out of his contributions or his involvement in Trump's you know, cabinet and campaign. Wow. And or Trump says something to him and or he's kicking him out. I don't know exactly what's happening. Either way. But what we can see is this. We don't know what they said behind closed doors, but what we can see on front page news is this: that they beefing, basically saying to one another, "Hey, you know, and Trump is saying, sounds like what he's saying is, hey man, I hired you to come in and, you know, do a few things here and there, but, you know, hey, your contract is up, but I don't need you no more." And or he may be saying, "Hey man, you starting to talk too much. I know you figured some stuff out, but let's not act like you ain't from South Africa and, you know, your whole family is rich from apartheid. So, hey, so don't be throwing no rocks and, you know, like you ain't no glass house." I don't know exactly what's going on behind. I don't know what was said among them personally, but based on the subscription of, you know, everybody in America that's looking at this presidency without, you know, not looking at it from the perspective that we're looking at it as, you know, we can develop your own government. And so they're looking at, you know, the presidency like, this is the government that I am under. We got a president that's Twitter beefing. Like, in other words, they like JFK would have never did something like this, right? We got to really take a step back and realize that there's a desensitization tactic that's happening to where we're even as a society accepting the fact that our president is online basically in a rap beef. And we just cool with this. We sit back getting up again every day, going to work like, we ain't got to do it. It do got something to do with you. Like this is the. I mean, mind you, you are a part of a country that requires your involvement in civic matters. You just can't. I mean, because it's like this: if you don't get involved, you can't complain when things happen, or policy and or whatever gets pushed down the line that affects you. You can't not show up, to the meeting. No, long story short, how it's supposed to go. We as the American people are supposed to hire a president to do a job. and, and you can say, well, I ain't want to show it to them. I'll let y'all handle that. Well, so then you see what happens when they start, cutting pay and stuff like that. Literally was what's happening. Literally. Talking about cutting healthcare and food stamps and Section 8 and all of that. And imagine, I ain't even just only talking to my people. We ain't the ones we ain't the only ones on welfare. Everybody over here gets some kind of welfare, whether it was even every other culture over here that got welfare in the form of reparations. There's a lot of other cultures that came to America and got reparations. Japanese, all of them, they got their reparations. And immigrants that come over here and get stipends from the government to set up businesses in your neighborhood. That's reparations to some extent, because more than likely what happened is they did something in that country, that the American government and military did something in their home country to cause some chaos and some strife, but then turned around and offered some of their citizens that were willing to immigrate over here a first-class package, a first-class economic package to get started and rolling in America. That's what that was. Why you sit back and be like, they ain't give us none of that? Don't count on them to do that. not you complaining about it individually. Now, I'm gonna take one from Chairman. We got to come together. We got to come together. So, but this is what I'm gonna get at. How do we observe this situation that's going on in the White House? We need to really take a look at this and not just sit back very complacent. I don't know how much that old that conspiracy theory that there's a lot of fluoride in the water or whatever is putting us in a state of mind where we're complacent. We got to really take a look at what is going to potentially happen with the remainder of this presidency and the following presidency. Because as it stands right now, me as a general-minded man, in other words, a military general-minded man, I got to look at 8 steps down the line. I behoove y'all to do the same, but it's cool. I understand that's a lot to do, but you need to at least attempt to do that. So let's take a look at what may happen in the rest of Trump's presidency. After everything that he's pulled off while he's been in office, everything that he plans on pulling off while he's in office, and then the impending indictment that he may have on him once he leaves office. Right? Just think about that now. It's like this. So Trump, it would behoove Trump to say, all right, as soon as my presidency over, I'm hopping on the jet. I'm out of here. So with that being said, what would you do if you were sitting in, if you were the president of a company, and when your term is up, the feds are gonna be waiting outside with handcuffs for you. You would probably preempt and escape, wouldn't you? More than likely you would, especially if you stacked up or stole a bunch of money to do so. Trump probably already got his plane and runway and exit plan already put together. But that you gotta ask yourself, so, and in the remainder of his presidency before that happens, how much do you think he cares about the condition that he leaves America? None. When his exit plan is already started, he's gotten, it's a nothing to lose situation for him. I mean, he knows he's not gonna get back in again. He's very well aware of that. And he more than likely, the same people that voted him in are now turning on him, and they gonna want to, they ain't gonna have his back no more. He's gonna get out of here. So while he's got the power to do so, he's gonna try to turn this country on his head. Now, I ain't gonna get into the more in-depth conspiracy on the matter of who's controlling him as well. We have a whole other show on that, right? But with him being the face of this type of agenda of driving the American government into some level of chaos, and or the chaos may, or the result of the chaos may essentially end up being this: totalitarianism. That's what it looked like to me. It looks like cause so much chaos that it pushes the American people into desperation, and then the shadow government is real. Don't act like it ain't real. don't get on her collars on conspiracy theories. Like, yes, there is a elite group of people globally that got their hands in everybody in every colonization government. Right? It's like, let's not act like that ain't happening. So what would their plan be for America? Throw it into chaos, cause desperation among the American people, especially with the loose immigration that's been happening. I ain't mad at immigration. It just got to be done the right way. All right? I mean, because I'm looking at this as a Aboriginal jurist of a Aboriginal nation. It's protocol to bringing people into your nation. You have to think about the condition of your nation after you start inviting certain type of people in with certain agendas, right? But again, totalitarianism. Now, who would stand to benefit? Dad taught me this a long time ago. You want to figure out who is the criminal, just figure out who stands to benefit from the crime. Who stands to benefit from America being in chaos? Let's look at it in this condition right now. We got a crazy dude for a president. He cool, but he crazy. He shouldn't be running no government, is what I'm talking about. Especially not the American government. He'd be cool if he was a business partner. I mean, he could laugh at him, and then if you start feeling like you're losing too much money, just dissolve the contract and the corporation, y'all. Then you can go about your business. But this dude is the president, in charge of your resources, because you act like you don't want to take control of them. But totalitarianism, controlled by a global elite. In other words, what is the global elite? It's a group of essentially European or let's say Caucasian, because Caucasian ain't necessarily European. Arabs are European as well. I mean, I'm sorry, are Caucasian as well. But elite families controlled by, my conspiracy theory, controlled by some reptilians, but that's neither here nor there. They stand to benefit from that because every day they wake up every day and say, how can we maintain control? It ain't about the money. They make the money, literally make it. They literally make the money. I mean, they got the printers and the digital systems to create the money for you. They just convince you to believe in it. That's what that boils down to. They convince you to believe in it. So, at what point do we say, okay, we can see this coming down the line? I mean, at this point, I can't even imagine what type of president they're going to put in front of us next term to convince you to vote for them. I'm trying to figure it out. That's going to be entertainment for me. Who are they going to try to get next to come after this guy? And what state of mind are you going to be in based on this presidency? Because you're so used to, voting, voting your king or queen into office, and not realizing that position that you are providing to someone, you're supposed to have much more control over that, much more say so, much more stakeholdership in that position. I don't want us to I mean, on one token, I say, yeah, hey, listen, everybody ain't gonna make it. When I speak, it's messed up. I get it. But when I talk to my close circle, and they, we having a discussion on this, their sentiments are, Dre, what these people gonna do? Unfortunately, sometimes I gotta say everybody ain't gonna make it. because it does take a moment of self-reflection and a moment of accountability to say, all right, what do I want to contribute to the society that's going to benefit my children? That's what it's all about. I don't even have children yet, but everything I do is for children. I ain't got none yet. I'm gonna get some, but I ain't got none yet. But everything I do is for the next generations, right? So that should be one of your main focuses. With you all, I'm gonna land this plane. Just give me about 2 more minutes. with United Aboriginal American Republic, this is our response, or better yet, preemptive strategy to all of this, or to counteract all of this. This is why hearing that brother from Africa speak, say, hey man, we gotta have a united front. I strongly suggest that everybody start looking at news that's going on in Africa right now. I'm talking about Aboriginal Americans, Black Aboriginal Americans. Start looking at what's going on in Africa. Native Americans don't even have the potential collaboration opportunity with the continent that's got probably the most resources in the world. They don't even have that. They don't have that, but you do. As a Aboriginal American, you've got that ability to do that. Africans are not going to look at you and be like, "Oh, you saying you're not African." No, they're gonna look at me. Listen, you brown, your hair look just like mine. Close enough. And you have skill sets that you have developed in this belly of the beast over here for those last 200 years that you've been dealing with them, 200 to 300 years. We've got a lot of skill sets that we've developed over here that would be beneficial, trans-beneficial. We got stuff that'd be beneficial for them. They got stuff that'd be beneficial for us. And we're going to build that bridge, that economic, cultural, social, political bridge. We're going to build that. Absolutely. Because that is essentially the future. The future is in Africa. It's not a egotistical thing. None of that. Like we can see, quite frankly, that Africa is taking all of its control back, kicking out its colonizers, and they're gonna start getting control of all their resources in their land. Everybody else ain't stole everything from over there. So what that does is put us in a position to have first right of refusal of the best technological advancements here in the Americas. We just got to be willing to build it. So I'm gonna land it there. All right, because we only got about 12 minutes left.
All right, so Chairman, you have the exact same birth coordinates as Elon Musk. You're a Cancer, born in the year of the boar.
What?
And so you could probably give us more insight on this so-called beef. Now, let me paint this scenario of the Trumpster. He's a Gemini, born in the year of the dog. So that's a fairly decent looking human in most cases. And with a dog mentality, he's going to try to hump every female that comes within close proximity of him. But in this particular case, he's got, he has, family history with money. So how do you see him challenging you? And you, in your case, I see this thing as who's, king of the hill kind of thing. How does Trump rub you the wrong way?
Well, Trump's education rubs me the wrong way. He really can't even put a sentence together. And Eli has peeped that whole card. He probably knew it from the beginning, but he's probably frustrated with Trump because things aren't moving as fast as he wants them to go. He's trying to manipulate Trump. And Trump is just not going to have it. Even though Trump wants to unify with him, Trump don't want anyone telling him how to do something. Even though it might be the truth and the best way, that's not Trump's game. You know, he wants to be that man that I get the last word, even though his words don't really mean anything. As long as he said something, you know, he feel good about it. But his power, you know, there's people behind the scenes, like you were saying earlier, that's manipulating. You know, Trump is a puppet. You know, that's what he is, and the puppeteer got him going and allow him to say certain things. You know, so that's Elon's thing, you know, like wow, man, how can I use him to get what I want, what I need? Because that space program is $1 trillion industry, and Eli got his hands on it, and Trump wants some of that. That's why he let Eli get into that administration. But something isn't going right, you know, and that's why there's so much confusion and chaos right now in that administration. You know, so they're not going to tell us all, but keep an open mind. You'll see things develop, and it's not over yet for sure. There's some more stuff that's going to come afloat. You know, that we're going to be, some people going to be surprised and some people aren't. But stay tuned for scene 2. This is just scene 1, and I don't know how many scenes there are going to be, but it's coming.
We got 3.5 years to go with this craziness.
Do
Yeah, man. He's only been in there half a year. Come on.
Yeah. A little over 100 days.
Yeah. So Chairman, I see this, understanding Trump's ego. He's not considered the richest man on the planet. Elon Musk is. And I think, he's saying, I got the purse string to use all my corrupted business savvy to become the richest man on the planet. And I don't have to play second fiddle to Elon Musk. And that was his agenda the whole time. He just uses people to get in position, and then he shit on them. That's a Gemini dog mentality. I mean, you can't, I warned people several years ago, you don't put people born in the first, second, and third houses in position like this to be dictators, because they are going to defend it, like in the case of an Aries, like an infant, wanting milk from the titty. It's going to fight you, for that titty. In the case of a Taurus, it's that of the child. It's going to have temper tantrums and really fight you and become insecure and paranoid around. But in the case of the third house with Trump, with the young teenager, he's just all over the place, and he wants power, an illusionary power, to say I'm the king of the hill. And Chairman, your personality ain't gonna give ground to that BS. You will fight and fight to the very end. This I know.
Hey, let me. I don't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead, man.
We've got some responses on YouTube. Shout out to our YouTube family that's tuning in. Shout out to the Dodgy Jet Show and Affectionate Earth. Dodgy Jet Show had quite a bit of comments. I see you. In response to what's going to happen, to us in America, just allowing this type of regime to go on. He said, locust lunches, sterilized soil, washed up on the island he said, wash up on the island and declare yourself king. Listen, what he's getting at here is, listen, I hear what you're saying, man. It doesn't seem plausible that, enough people are gonna get it together. But listen, again, we've built we built our own jurisdiction, and you know, I know it seems like a small thing to do right now, but you know, can't reveal all of our moves, of course, you know, to the world. But yeah, we're making the moves that gives us our, you know, our alternative and contingencies. Affectionate Earth says FBA should have our own reparation movement. I don't trust no Pan African. They are on one side. Listen, I understand what you mean. But you know, listen, sister. And forgive me if I'm misstating which agenda is. You know, I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but listen. When it comes to foundational Black Americans, I made a post about this too. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, foundational Black Americans and let's say, you know, us Aboriginal Americans. You know, because we know that's essentially two different movements. We can sit down at our own tables and start doing the history and the knowledge and the information and all of that. We can do that. We can chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. You know, we can figure out exactly what our, you know, real history is and what we, you know, and what we contributed and all of that jazz. That's fine. So in other words, we can take a look at the past while we're also moving forward towards the future. Right now, you know, neither, you know, just being quite honest. Let me be strategic when I say this. Right now, FBA, the Foundational Black Americans, is what that means. That's what FBA means. And those of us who are saying we're Aboriginal Americans and creating our own autonomous governments and jurisdictions, we ain't got no choice but to collaborate right now in this country. We ain't got no choice. And even if we do that, we still need to take some more measured steps, again, which is linking with Africans who want to link with you. If it's African people that say they don't mess with you, okay, fine. There's some other ones that do, though. Trust and believe. I'm not making that up because I already know them. I already know them. Say it again. I already know them. So, you know, we ain't looking at an apocalyptic situation, even if we were looking at an apocalyptic situation. Let's just scale it down. If you was looking at a dire situation where you were, you know, facing a bear in the woods, this is a one-on-one situation. It's a situation of survival. If you was facing the bear in the woods, yeah, the bear's gonna try to kill you. Yes, indeed it is. But are you just gonna lay there and die painfully? No, I believe you've got enough grit. I believe your survival instinct should kick in, and you at least gonna try to poke the bear in the eye or something. But you just can't lay down and die cowardly. The Most High ain't gonna appreciate that. Your ancestors ain't gonna appreciate that. You know, you're gonna go to the other side, and everybody gonna be side-eyeing you like, you ain't even try to poke the bear. That's how they're gonna be looking at you. All right. So right now, yeah, our biggest stratagem is collaboration. All right. I just want to chime in.
So in the part that we did not complete in terms of how the reparations, our plan right now is basically, if you have an organization, or if you are a tribal group, we're not saying come get you got to come under our leadership and bow down to our chief or this. What we want right now is a collaboration. Strengthen numbers. You can go to our website at uaarnation.org. And if you have problems, because I know this demon has been interfering with the link, be very persistent. And my son's going to give you some alternative emails if they try to block you from going to UAR. I've had some calls where you know, they said they had problems getting through to the website. So you know, that's to be expected when you're the real deal. We are the real deal as a collective. Just UAR on its own, we can't get it done. But if you have an organization, whether it's the Black Gun Club or the Black Panthers or the accumulation of Black women for human society, whatever, go to our website, let us know. We will prepare a memorandum of understanding, an MOU with verbiage that says we're just coming together for the sake of our children, to respect each other's culture, to exchange services, goods and services, and collaborate with other Aboriginal nations all over the planet. If you are a tribe and you got your own chiefs, all we're saying, let's establish a treaty. We have treaties in place. We got memorandum of MOUs, memorandum of understanding. All you do is sign on. We're just bringing all the groups together as a collective to say we have the numbers. And then when we go talk with all the Caribbean and all of the African nations and the South American nations that's struggling to reclaim their heritage, when we say to them, hey, we are the Aboriginals of America, we are a composition of organizations and tribes, and we realize one thing: this demon was able to conquer and colonize us because of our division and selfish agendas. I look at people here in America. You know, we've been working this thing for some years now, and everybody got these selfish agendas. I got to be the one. I got to be the new Martin Luther King, and it's not going to work that way. It's only going to work as a collective. We respect your individual kings, presidents. We know who the personalities are, and we're going to respect you and honor you for you taking the position and making the sacrifices. But now is the time, if this is going to work to get the reparations, let's assemble under one tent and develop true democratic order based on the natural laws. All men are created equal. Let's treat each other the way we want to be treated and love our fellow humans unconditionally. That's as simple as that. If you employ those three principles, then you will find balance. You will develop a democratic structure where you have the elders who have survived 50 to 70 to 80 years on this planet, or 90 years, and then you got the upper management teams, people born in the 60s and the 70s, and then you got the technicians, people born in the 80s and the 90s, and then you got the students, and that's a natural order. That's because those students are going to eventually one day become an elder, and you're going to want the young generations behind you to respect you. That's what this order is all about. In the Willie Lynch letter, they reversed it and took that order out of our communities in order to conquer us. So let's just restore it. If you're an elder, if you don't know all the things that we think that we're talking about, it doesn't matter. If you survive 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years on this planet, you know something. Join us. Join the collective, and then that collective will go and represent itself to the other nations, and we will demonstrate by example, and then we will employ, the Most High will employ the ripple effect, because they will see the miracles that we're manifesting. They will taste the miracles, they will hear the miracles, and they will touch the miracles, and they will say, I understand, I'm on board. Hey, so that's how this thing can work. Now, one other quick note, I know we're 4 minutes over. In that last statement, we basically said, also honing in on the frequency that will protect Aboriginals and destroy all opposition. Lightning bolts will be flying. Now, so we already recognize that the demon created a frequency for us to pray to. And that frequency is the wrong frequency, because it keeps giving him its strength. So we're going to bypass the semantics of these different names. We're going directly to the Most High, the Supreme Being. and we're going to home in and tap into that source as a collective. Now, all you star seeds, you understand what I'm saying. And we need you to start joining our ranks so that we can start generating that frequency. And we're going to demonstrate it to the rest of the collective so that any one of these demons touch our children or our movement, our homes, because of their selfish insecurities, they will be destroyed. That's a promise. And I've seen that technology, and that technology is powerful. And they will hit them with a lightning bolt in the ass and give them a new daylight. So we have to understand how we're going to tap into that frequency. We have to understand that we can only do it when we adopt these three principles, these three universal principles of respect for each other, and we can shut these demons down and evict them from the planet, because they were designed specifically for one thing, and that's to test us. And they've done a good job. Matter of fact, they deserve an Academy Award. They've done a good job. They have divided us up. They got us cutting each other's throat over some dumbass religion, skin color, tall, short, male, female, all of this. They divided us up across the board. And that is what they were hired to do. So let's say, okay, all you got to do is say, in the words of Malcolm, we've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and led astray. Okay, it happens to the best of us. Get over it. Let's do something to change the narrative on this planet. Hey, Chairman, you got any closing words?
I was just sitting here thinking, we're like beautiful flowers of so many different colors. And like a flower opens up its petals, just to receive that sunshine, we open up our arms to give praise to, want to help. We want to do, and that's what our petals are. We're supposed to use them, and we could do so many things with this here, but we need to come together to get opportunity. That's my spirit telling me that, feeling that vibration. I'll land that plane.
Hey, Chairman, tell them how you get your book, Chairman.
God's Child, title of the book. You can get it through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, through my website, www.godschildren.biz. And a book that you will enjoy reading, and you will tell others about it, because it's going to stimulate you with a lot of thought and good feelings.
Absolutely. So we got two books that we're promoting that's going to inspire you, give you something to read about other than what you see on the movies, how to rob, how to kill, how to steal. That's all you're going to see. I'm to the point I don't even want to watch the movies no more. It's all about lying, cheating, stealing, robbing, and killing. We got two little simple books that you can buy for good reading, Lucifer's Revenge and God's Child. And it's going to educate you, give you some history that is going to empower you, and it's going to help this movement, because the proceeds that we're bringing in is we put it right back into circulating into this movement for the sake of our children, and that's the whole agenda. Go out and get a copy. Go to Amazon or tap into lucifersrevenge.net, order a copy. You can get the ebook or a hard copy. It's going to help this movement, because them demons, man, they do little silly things, cowardly things, interrupt the email, you have to be persistent. We're going to be persistent. The chairman and I, we know what time it is. My son, he's a natural warrior, so he's going to fight and set an example for the rest of your generation. So let's do this. Hey, man, go ahead and close this thing out.
All right. So I think it's been a decent show. All right, shout out to our YouTube family for chiming in. Shout out to our Facebook family for chiming in. And listen, family, we're going to be here every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. This is the Straight Talk Network show. We love you as always. Peace out. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Conversation piece.